Hello, I'm Pearl, and today we're going to talk about inspiration. Okay, and you're going to hear the word inspiration a lot when you start thinking about dreams or listening to people talk about dreams. But what a lot of people forget is the other side of inspiration, and we're going to use that today in the different things that we're going to be learning about. Okay, so inspiration, the word, can mean just to breathe in. And together with it, there's another word, which is the word for breathing out, which is expiration. Inspiration and expiration. Now, those words also have a lot of other meanings, which we can think about and get confused by. But let's just stick with that nice, easy breathing in and breathing out. And so easy and so essential because we're doing it all the time, all day long. Breathe in and just breathe out. Okay? Nice and easy. And one of the most important things we can do is just remember anytime we're doing some work together or you're thinking about this or you get scared about anything in life, just remember to breathe. We're actually going to do a little bit of breathing work in a minute. What I want to do first is talk a little bit about something that happens for people as we get older and as we start to think about following our dreams. Now, in the introduction, I talked a little bit about sometimes it's hard to follow our dreams because of the people around us, okay? And sometimes it's the people around us that are scared, and they're scared for us. They want us to be happy and they want us to be, the word is successful, whatever they think is successful, okay? So one of the things that happens as we get older, and when we're little, we don't care. We just enjoy life. We just have fun and we don't worry too much. But as we get older, one of the things that happens when we're trying to follow our dreams is that we can get a little bit scared about what happens if I follow my dreams and I get what I want, I do what I want, and then it goes away again. When I'm teaching grown-ups, I call this fear of loss of success. What happens if I lose something, okay? And as we get older, sometimes we start to get quite scared about that. And when I was thinking about this, I remembered something that happened in my life when I was very little. And I think it was even before I started school. And I had this really great friend. And I don't really remember how long we were friends for, but I remember her name. I remember what she looked like. And I remember the amazing feeling of her and I being best friends, being just great friends. Now, I was very little, so it could have been that we were just friends for a day, or maybe we were friends for a year or longer. But I just remember how wonderful it was to have this, this brilliant friend, this best friend. And then what happened was her parents had to move and she had to move away. And back then we didn't really, have the internet, and we didn't really, make phone calls unless they were essential in my family. So when she left, that was it really. I think I might have tried to write to her a few times. Maybe we tried to be pen pals. But that was really the end of that friendship. And it did make me really sad. But when she left, I didn't know that I was going to be sad because I had never really had such a good friend before. And it did make me sad. And for a lot of people, what happens is we make friends and then things change. When we change schools, perhaps, often we lose a lot of our friends because they're going to a different school. Perhaps we have a really great teacher that we love and that we enjoy the classes, and then we move on and we find it really hard to say goodbye to that teacher. It makes us really sad. And it is hard. And sometimes it can stop us from wanting to make new friends because we're scared that maybe they're going to move on or we're going to move on. Maybe they'll want to go and be friends with other people. Maybe they're going to stop wanting to be friends with us for some other reason. Perhaps we decide to stop doing the same kind of things. And what's really, really important to remember in that is there are so many people to be friends with. And if we let ourselves, it's really easy to make friends, okay? And it's easy to make friends. One simple thing that we do is to just be ourselves. Because when we're ourselves, people can feel it, and they can feel that we're being honest, we're being truthful, we're just being ourselves. And it makes being friends with people so much easier. But it's like that inspiration and the expiration. We breathe in and we breathe out. And we're going to do a little exercise together, do a little practice together, okay? And what I want to do is, okay, you're going to try this, is to breathe in and just hold that breath. And what happens if we just try and breathe in? Oh, it doesn't feel very good. Oh, and we have to let it go. Because we have to breathe in and we have to let go, okay? And there's so much air around us. We don't need to be scared. We can breathe in and we can breathe out and let go. And when we do that, we stop feeling scared and we stop feeling stressed about breathing. We just realize things come and things go. And that's what happens in life. We meet new people and people leave our lives as well. It happens. And so when we breathe in, we hold on, and then we let go. And when I teach meditation and breathing, when I teach it to grown-ups, I can teach it to everybody and anybody. Here's a little exercise that I do. And it's really, really great for whenever you're feeling a little bit stressed or nervous or scared, or you just feel excited, really, really excited. And it makes you feel a bit like that. And here's what we're going to do, is just to bring your attention to pay attention and notice your breathing. So don't try and do any big deep breaths. Don't try and do anything fancy. No, just relax and just pay attention to your breathing. Just follow your breathing. What happens when we do that is just naturally our breathing gets easier, slower, and usually deeper. And we start to usually feel a bit calmer as well. Now, the reason for that, or one of the reasons for that, is that when we get really excited, especially when we feel a bit frightened, what we often do is we hold our breath. We just go, oh my God. So what we can do is, as soon as we remember, we go and breathe out. We expire. We let go. And then we breathe in naturally. And then we think about our breathing. Just think about breathing. Plants also have to inspire and expire. They have to respire. And when we do that, it helps us to be calm. And it helps us to breathe and not hold our breath. And it's really important to remember that when we're doing things, especially when we're following our dreams, things are going to come in and they're going to go out again. We're going to make friends, and then those friends are going to go away, some of them. And we may be lucky and have a friend for our whole life. You know? We may be very lucky. But there are some things that need to come and go, like breathing. And so if we think about it, we think about, well, what if you were really successful as, say, a pop star, you know, and you were a music artist, and you did the most amazing song in the world? What would happen? And you might go to the top of the charts. Your song might become #1 in the charts. That would be amazing. But nobody stays at #1 in the charts forever. You go to #1 and then you come back down again. Maybe you do another song and you go up to the top and you come back down again. Maybe you do a song and it doesn't go all the way up and it comes back down again. And that's all really wonderful. That's all really wonderful. Sometimes we get caught up, and the people around us get caught up in, you know, who's #1, who's winning, you know, who's winning the football matches, who is top of the class, okay? And it's, you know, it's nice if you can be top of the class sometimes, but it's not everything, okay? And what we want to be careful of is that we don't get so caught up in the idea of being top of the class, or having, you know, really top grades, maybe having an A, or being the fastest runner, that we worry if we're not going to be top of the class, okay? Because sometimes what happens when we do that is we're scared to try. You know, we're scared to try to do really well, because what if we do well this time and then we don't do so well next time? And we're scared of even getting into trouble. You know, what if I do really well this time and I don't do so well next time? Okay. And when I said in the introduction, in the last video we did the introduction, I said, you know what? The reason we let grown-ups into this class is so that grown-ups can remember that this is important for them too. And sometimes grown-ups listen to all this stuff around them and they get caught up in these ideas about having to be the fastest, having to be the best, and they forget that actually we are all, you know, we all have our days when just running the race, maybe just getting to the finish line, is a brilliant job, you know, and sometimes just starting the race is a brilliant job, you know, that we don't always have to be the #1, you know, because if you look at the charts, you look at the music charts, of course not everybody can be #1, and nobody in the world can stay #1 all the time, okay? So it's important that we let ourselves breathe in and breathe out, and don't get so caught up in the idea of having to always be, the #1, or having to hold on to things. And that's so important, because sometimes following our dreams means letting go of our old dreams, or letting go of our dream for a little while so that we can do something different and something new, something fun, okay? And not being afraid to let go when it's the right thing for us. Okay. And so now we're going to do another exercise. And, you know, if you're lucky and you've got things around you, feel free to go and get, and for the kids, check you've got the permission to do this, is go and find some magazines, or books or anything like that. Preferably some old magazines, okay? And what we're going to do is to take those magazines, and you can do this with a grown-up as well. Grown-ups, please join in. This is so much fun if you order to do it together as a family, okay? And you can even use the TV for this. You can use anything that you like, okay? And what we're going to do is something that grown-ups do, and they would call this like a mood board, or getting together some ideas about things that you like, okay? And what's great about this is sometimes, especially when we're younger, and I grew up in one place, and we didn't travel as a family. We didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid. So there are a lot of things that we didn't do. So a lot of the time we couldn't afford as a family for me to go on school trips, okay? So one of the things that happened was I really just stopped thinking about like traveling, and it really wasn't one of my dreams until I started reading a lot of books. And when I started reading a lot of books, I started reading about different countries and different places, and I got really curious about other places. But even then, I still didn't think it was for me. I didn't think that I would ever go anywhere, that I would ever travel. And it wasn't until I was about 20 years old that I flew on an airplane for the first time, because I went to university and my friends were all going on holiday. So I said, okay, I'll go on holiday. And I went to Greece, and I flew on an airplane to Greece. And when I got there, I fell in love with it. I thought, this is the most wonderful thing ever, because it was all so different and exciting. And I realized that I really, really loved to travel. But I didn't really know that until I got there. I didn't know if I was going to like it or not, because I'd never been on an airplane until I was about 20 years old. And of course, as I got older, I traveled more and more, went further and further away. And so what I really want to do with this exercise, when you're picking up magazines, you can do this now, you can do this all the time. You can do this for a whole week, or you could do this for your whole life, okay? And that is to pay attention, to keep looking. And as you flip through magazines, look at pictures and start to imagine. Use your imagination to think about all the things that you might want to do, that you could do. And really, it's just about dreaming and letting dreams in, okay? And it's so important, because a lot of the time we might not know what's out there, but also we, again, might have people around us, like I was saying before, we're so affected by the grown-ups, the people around us, are sometimes what we call our role models. And sometimes those grown-ups around us have forgotten how to dream. They've stopped dreaming. And sometimes they don't help us to dream, okay? And one of the things that happens sometimes, and I know a lot of people who I've met over the years have told me this, sometimes our teachers are brilliant at giving us encouragement and saying, yes, you can do it, and encouraging us to try things, even if we find them difficult. But sometimes we have people in our lives, like teachers, who don't believe in us, and they don't say, yes, you can do this. They don't say, yes, you can try this. Sometimes they can be quite negative, and they can tell us things like, oh no, you're never going to do that. Oh, you can't do that. And sometimes even family members can look at us and say, oh no, you'll never do that. Well, we need to start to dream again. We need to make sure that we let ourselves dream. We let ourselves use our imagination and think about all the possibilities that there are, okay? And to explore. I always use that word explore, to explore all the possibilities. It's not just about going around the world and exploring. It's also thinking about all the things that are possible, okay? I picked up a book in the library yesterday. I love libraries. Libraries are a brilliant place to go to help fuel your imagination, to help get that imagination going. Think about all the possibilities in life and all the things that we could do. And it was a book by a man called Gareth Southgate. You might have heard of him. And he was somebody who became a footballer and played for England. And then he became the England manager. And what it said on the front cover of this book was that when he was at school, his teachers, probably his PE teachers, told him that he would never be any good at sport and he would never be able to be a footballer. And when he said, I want to be a footballer and I want to play for England, they laughed at him and they told him, no, you're not going to do that. And he did. And so many people, when it comes to the Olympics or all kinds of sport, will tell you the story of how they had a teacher that said, no, you can't do that. Well, you know what? Teachers can often be wrong. And I know people who had teachers when they were going to do a course in art. And the teacher perhaps said to them, oh no, you'll never do this. You'll never do this. And then one day they went to an art gallery and they had a big painting on show for everybody. And it was a really, really amazing gallery and lots of wonderful work. And guess who the person who had the painting next to them was? It was that very same teacher that told them that they would never be any good. And guess what? They were now in the same art gallery. That's a true story. So, dreaming, imagining. I want you to look around and open your eyes and not be afraid to dream, okay? Not be afraid to think about all the amazing things that can happen in your life and that you can do and that you can dream of and explore. And I wanted to share another story, and this is about, so I was speaking to, last year, speaking to a few young people who are studying and training to become doctors, okay? And what was very interesting was that I was talking to people and I spoke to one and she said that she had decided not to be a doctor. She had let go of that dream. And the reason that she let go of that dream to be a doctor was because it takes a lot of time and it's very hard work to become a doctor. Okay, so lots of exams and things like that, you know, it's a really hard journey. And she had decided that she wasn't going to do it. She said, no, it's too much, you know, I don't like it. That's too much studying. That's a really long time before you become a doctor. And she said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and do something else. And then she decided, she looked at everything else. She looked at all the other subjects and all the other jobs that she could do. And you know what she said? I don't want to do any of those. The only thing I really want to do is to be a doctor. Okay. And then I spoke to another girl who was training to be a doctor. And I told her this story. And she said, yes. She said, I'm at university and I am training to be a doctor. And she said, and every person on the course who is training to be a doctor now said the same thing. That they all decided they weren't going to be doctors and they weren't going to go to university and be doctors. But when they looked around, they realized there was really nothing else that they wanted to do. And so they decided they were going to go and do that degree and become doctors. And that's what happens with dreams. Sometimes what is so important when we have a dream is that we breathe it in, that inspiration of maybe I could be a doctor. And then what we do is we say, we let it go. And we let go of that dream of being a doctor. Why? Because it's a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of training, a lot of time. And when people let something go like that, you let go of that dream of being a doctor, what happens is they breathe in, about a little bit, and one day it comes in again. And it comes in because it's something that is theirs. Yeah. And that's what happens is sometimes we let go and it comes back again to us. And it's important to let go of it, because then when these young people are studying and working really hard, they know they've explored all the other things and said, no, being a doctor is what I really, really want to do. Okay. And that's what I love about breathing in and breathing out, because then we know that something is really the right thing for us. Okay. So when we have our dreams, when we're bringing all these ideas, maybe we see all these pictures, maybe we read books, maybe we see something on the television, and we think, oh, I think I'd like that. I think I'd like that. We breathe it in, we think about it, and then we don't have to hold on too tight. We can let it go, because if it's ours, it will come back to us. Okay? If we're meant to be doing something, then we can feel it come back to us. But the important thing is not to let go of something just because somebody else tells us, oh no, you can't do that. Oh, that's not good for you. Don't let one person, somebody say, this is something you can't do. Because also the world is always changing. So even if something seems really difficult right now, sometimes then the next day it becomes something that is easier or something that is more possible. And it made me laugh because the title of the book by Gareth Southgate about football was Anything is Possible. Okay? But the important thing is to let yourself dream. Allow yourself to imagine all the things you could possibly want to do in your life or do today. Why not? Sometimes when I'm sitting down and I let myself dream, I think, what is it I really, really, really want? And when I let go and I don't worry about anything, about how much time something would take or how much money or energy, and I just allow myself to dream of everything and anything I could possibly want and possibly do, sometimes the answer comes back to me so easily. Something as simple as, I really want to go and have a swim. Or, I really want to call my friend up. Because even though she's moved away, nowadays, I can just pick up the phone and give her a call. And one of my best friends has just moved away to another country, and I'm not sad at all, because I know that I'm going to see her, I know that I'm going to speak to her, and I know that we're going to be friends, even though she's living somewhere else now. But sometimes we need to let those dreams in and let them go again, and not worry too much if sometimes it feels like we're losing things, because it happens in life. And whatever happens, when things go out like the tide, new things are always coming in, new opportunities, new dreams, and that's pretty exciting, because life is pretty exciting. Anyway, I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this lesson about inspiration, and take care. I hope it helps. Take care of yourself and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.